Welcome to StarryCast with Vera and Theo. We're launching immediately into a detailed exploration of the Gemini archetype. Okay, let's really understand what makes a Gemini tick. At its heart, this is an intelligent and communicative energy.
Yes.
Picture someone whose mind is always active, processing information and eager for the next exchange.
Right.
You'll often experience Geminis as, lively individuals, quick-witted and adaptable in their approach to the world.
And what's truly fascinating about Gemini is its inherent duality.
That duality, yeah.
This isn't just about being versatile, someone who can juggle multiple tasks or interests, although, well, that is certainly part of it.
Sure.
It's a deeper characteristic, you see. Seeing multiple facets to any situation, holding seemingly opposing ideas in line simultaneously. How this plays out in life can be quite varied, from like a constant exploration of different hobbies to a remarkable ability to see several valid perspectives on a single issue.
That duality is so fundamental. It's symbolized by the twins, right? And it
Right.
speaks to this capacity for holding complexity.
Exactly.
But it's not really about internal conflict as much as it is about a richer understanding of possibilities, maybe.
Precisely. Now, this archetype can sometimes manifest in ways that present challenges, like a tendency to lose focus.
That quicksilver mind darting from one thing to the next.
Yeah, exactly. Or, because of their often intellectual approach, they might sometimes be perceived as lacking a certain emotional depth.
The lack of heart idea.
But perhaps it's more about how they process and express emotions, not necessarily that it isn't there.
Good point. Let's consider Gemini within the broader astrological framework then. Its element is air.
Correct. And air signs are generally concerned with connection and communication, the realm of ideas, relationship.
The mental sphere.
Right. As a northern sign, Gemini's air energy takes on an interesting nuance.
How so?
Well, northern signs often carry a more internal or individual focus. So it suggests that Gemini's relational drive is deeply intertwined with a need for intellectual exploration and maybe self-discovery through interaction.
That adds a layer to their talkative nature, doesn't it?
It does.
It's not just about external connection, but also about processing and understanding their own thoughts through dialogue.
Precisely.
Now, Gemini's modality is mutable. What does that tell us?
The mutable modality places Gemini at the tail end of spring. Think of mutable signs as the great adapters.
Okay.
They take the established energy of the preceding signs in this case, that burgeoning life force of spring, and they begin to sort of disseminate it, preparing for the transition into the next season.
The changeover.
Yes. This inherent flexibility is key to Gemini's versatile nature and their remarkable capacity to embrace change. They're not rigid. They can shift gears and adapt to new information with relative ease.
So their ability to roll with the punches is really backed into their modal nature.
You could say that, yeah.
And the planet that rules Gemini is Mercury. That feels particularly fitting.
Indeed. Mercury, the swift messenger of the gods, governs communication, intellect, the flow of information, all that. Its influence directly stimulates Gemini's inherent intellectual curiosity and their drive for mental engagement.
So Mercury is like the engine for the Gemini mind.
That's a great way to put it. It's the energetic force fueling the Gemini mind's constant activity.
Okay, so what kinds of pursuits are naturally favored by this strong mercurial influence in Gemini?
Well, a prominent Mercury influence, like in Gemini, naturally supports intellectual endeavors of all kinds. Also, creative expression that originates in the mind.
Right.
You often find Geminis drawn to fields like writing, speaking, research, anything that allows for active mental engagement and the exchange of ideas.
Makes sense.
This also fosters that deep intellectual curiosity, a persistent desire to learn and explore new concepts.
Then practically.
Practically. Mercury also lends its energy to negotiations, those skillful verbal dances, short journeys, quick explorations, rather than long, drawn-out affairs. Correspondence, the written word as a tool for connection, organization, structuring information, and even advertisement, the art of persuasive communication.
It really paints a picture of someone naturally adept at navigating the world through intellect and communication.
Very much so.
Well, we've talked about duality. Does this potent mercurial influence also have potential downsides?
It does, yes. When Mercury's energy is expressed in a less constructive way, it can manifest as a lack of clarity in communication or thought, kind of a mental fog.
Okay.
Absent-mindedness can also be an issue, that tendency for the busy mind to lose track of details.
I can see that.
Nervousness, too.
Yeah.
That restless mental energy we mentioned earlier. And even a disinclination to settle into sustained work can arise, possibly due to that constant pull towards new stimulation and a difficulty maintaining focus.
That resonates with some of the challenges we often hear associated with Gemini. Now, Mercury also has its transits, its movement through the zodiac. How do these transits specifically influence a Gemini or the overall Gemini energy?
Transits. Well, when Mercury transits the zodiac, it stimulates the flow of ideas and communication for everyone, really. But perhaps Geminis feel this most acutely as it aligns with their ruling planet. These periods often become favorable for introspection, reviewing past thoughts and experiences with a fresh perspective, as well as for planning and envisioning future possibilities. Engaging with others and expressing oneself clearly are also particularly supported during these times.
So a good time to talk things out.
Definitely. It's an opportune moment to articulate your ideas and engage in meaningful conversations.
So it's like a natural amplification of their core strengths.
Yeah.
What else do Mercury transits bring to the forefront?
Mercury transits tend to encourage a more objective and detached viewpoint, which can be incredibly valuable for problem solving and making sound decisions.
That clarity.
Yes. This period also fosters a greater tolerance for differing opinions and a knack for finding intelligent compromises. That ability to see multiple sides of an issue and find common ground.
Which ties back to their core nature.
It aligns beautifully with Gemini's inherent potential for understanding diverse perspectives, yeah.
That's insightful. Now let's really dig into the inherent strength that define the Gemini archetype. Our understanding so far lays the groundwork for appreciating these qualities.
Absolutely. First and foremost is their remarkable versatility.
Right.
Geminis are often incredibly adaptable, capable of excelling in a wide range of areas. They can wear many different hats and acquire new skills with relative ease.
Jack of all trades, maybe?
Potentially, but often master of quite a few, too. Intelligence is another cornerstone. They are quick-witted, endlessly curious, and possess sharp minds that are constantly seeking knowledge.
And the communication.
And as we've discussed, their communication skills are typically exceptional. They have a natural talent for expressing themselves articulately and engaging others with their words.
That lively manner they often possess really enhances that communication, doesn't it?
It really does.
They can inject energy and enthusiasm into situations, making them engaging company.
Precisely. They are also described as highly alert, very observant, and quick to recognize opportunities.
Opportunities or opportunistic?
Well, it can sometimes manifest as a certain opportunism, yes. A knack for seizing advantageous moments. Furthermore, they are often intuitive and possess a sharp wit. Though it's worth noting that this wit, if not tempered, can occasionally come across as conceit or even sarcasm.
Yeah, that Gemini quick mind can certainly be a double-edged sword. What other strengths do we see highlighted?
They tend to be progressive and original thinkers, sometimes even holding utopian ideals, always open to considering novel possibilities and challenging established norms.
Thinking outside the box.
Very much so. They are inventive and excellent at improvising, thinking on their feet, and adapting to unexpected situations. This connects directly to their mutable nature, you see.
Right.
They also typically possess a strong memory, which serves them well in their pursuit and sharing of information.
That strong memory must be a valuable asset for someone who loves to learn and disseminate information.
Definitely.
And how do they best absorb new knowledge?
Well, they thrive under effective teachers who are articulate and offer fresh perspectives, constantly feeding that ever-hungry Gemini mind with new insights and ways of thinking.
So they need engaging teachers.
Very much so. They have a potential for true eloquence, the ability to captivate and inspire curiosity in others through their language. They genuinely celebrate the power of language itself and often speak with a natural rapidity, eager to share their thoughts and discoveries.
It all circles back to that central theme of communication and intellectual stimulation. There's a wonderful underlying concept that captures the Gemini spirit so well. There might be an entirely different way of looking at this.
Yes.
That really speaks to their open-mindedness, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It's that inherent curiosity and a fundamental understanding that reality is rarely ever just one thing.
Right.
Now, let's shift our focus a bit to some of the common challenges that individuals with a strong Gemini influence might encounter. The other side of those inherent strengths.
Okay. We touched on earlier that potential for a lack of concentration.
Hmm.
That very active mind can sometimes be easily distracted, making it difficult to maintain focus on a single task for extended periods.
Exactly. Inconsistency is another potential area of challenge. That mutability, while a strength in adaptability, can sometimes lead to a perceived unreliability
Right.
or a tendency to frequently change their minds, which can make it difficult for others to depend on them in the long run, perhaps.
That makes sense. And the nervousness.
Nervousness and a sense of inner restlessness are also common experiences, yes.
Yeah.
That constant need for new stimulation can manifest as anxiety or an inability to find stillness.
And how might these tendencies play out in their interactions and relationships?
Well, superficiality can sometimes be a pitfall.
Hmm.
Their wide array of interests, while a strength in versatility, might occasionally prevent them from delving deeply into specific subjects or forming truly profound connections with others.
Spreading themselves too thin.
Potentially, yes. That constant pursuit of novelty can sometimes hinder their ability to fully commit to longer-term projects or relationships. The sources also note a potential for irritability and a tendency towards a less positive outlook.
Yeah.
Usually when they feel their intellectual freedom is restricted or when they perceive a lack of understanding from others.
It seems that quick wit we admired can turn into something less pleasant if things aren't aligning with their mental landscape.
It can, yes.
Are there other, perhaps more nuanced challenges to consider?
Yes, there's a noted susceptibility to engaging in or being affected by gossip and even minor deceptions.
Really? Why is that?
Perhaps arising from that busy communicative environment they often inhabit and navigate. Lots of information flying around, not all of it accurate.
Okay.
They might also be perceived by some as erratic, inconstant, even eccentric, or opinionated.
Which could cause friction.
Exactly. It could lead to misunderstandings or friction with individuals who prefer more predictable or conventional approaches. Interestingly, there's also a risk of them overlooking subtle cues from their own physical body.
How so?
Because their primary focus tends to be on the realm of thoughts and ideas, they might potentially miss important signals related to their well-being.
That mind-body disconnect could present real difficulties if they're always so deeply engaged in their mental processes.
Precisely. They can sometimes become overly reliant on rational thought and verbal expression, potentially neglecting the valuable insights that can arise from instinct and intuition.
Relying too much on the head, not the gut.
Something like that. And if they experience a betrayal of trust, particularly in the realm of intellect or communication, they might develop a detached emotional response as a form of self-protection, that inherent objectivity solidifying into a kind of emotional coolness.
That makes sense as a way to navigate situations where their intellectual or communicative trust has been broken. What about in the context of learning and knowledge acquisition? Any challenges there?
They might encounter challenges when faced with conflicting viewpoints or methodologies from different teachers or sources, especially when a single definitive authority is absent. That natural desire for mental clarity can be tested by ambiguity and contradiction.
They prefer clear answers.
Generally, yes. They may also feel less confident in tasks that require intuitive interpretation and risk-taking, preferring clear-cut rules and logical frameworks where answers are more readily apparent.
So, when situations demand a more nuanced, less strictly logical approach, the Gemini mind might feel less secure.
It could, yeah.
It's truly fascinating to see both the brilliance and the potential vulnerabilities inherent in this multifaceted archetype.
Indeed. Understanding both the strengths and the challenges offers a much more comprehensive and, well, empathetic appreciation for the complexities of the Gemini archetype.
Absolutely. And on that note of complexity and understanding, how can recognizing the dual nature within the Gemini archetype help you become more aware of the multiple perspectives that exist both within yourself and in the world around you?
Good question.
It's definitely something worth contemplating. Thank you for this insightful deep dive. We'll connect again soon on StarryCast.